What's up, guys? This morning I made a special stop off at Crown Performance to see my buddy Eddie, and we purchased all of our hose, dash 10 and dash 8, and we also have some dash 6 hose on the way. But we got all of our Phoenix fittings for our fuel pressure regulator, our fuel filter, and then a heap of fittings. So today is plumbing day here at the Hunk Order, so I'm gonna go ahead and get cracking on getting our fuel, our oil, and our power steering systems all buttoned up and plumbed. That way we can start putting some fluids into this bad boy. Alright, so this is the low pressure side of our power steering pump, and unfortunately this bolts onto the pump angled away from where the oil cooler is, or the power steering cooler. So essentially what I did was I went ahead and pulled this off the pump, and I have a dash 10 adapter fitting here that we're actually going to weld. This is steel and this is steel. Actually going to cut this off. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this prepped for Evan. He's going to go ahead and weld this up with our Lincoln welder. I'm going to lop off this tube, and we're going to go ahead and put an AN fitting on here. Alright, there we have it. It's not the prettiest cut in the world. That's what it looks like cut apart. We're going to go ahead and discard this. This can go in the trash. I went ahead and sprayed this down with some brake parts cleaner. This way it's nice and clean for Evan to weld. And I'm probably going to go ahead and scuff up the area where he's going to weld as well. That way he has a nice clean surface to weld on. Alright, just a quick trip through the cabinet. This thing is all cleaned up and ready to be welded. Alright, well Evan's all done welding. I went ahead and threw this back in the blast cabinet, just cleaned it up real quick. Probably going to go ahead and paint it black maybe, I don't know. We'll see how it looks once it's on there, but I did throw a new surface on the back because sometimes when you weld stuff like this it tends to warp. So I threw it against the flat sander and got her nice and flat because it does seal on the power steering pump. So now we can run a dash 10 AN fitting from our oil cooler to our pump. So aside from putting an AN fitting on here, which was the real reason why we wanted to pull this off, you guys were probably asking yourself why I didn't just flip it around and make it face the right angle that I needed to get to the cooler. And the reason is as you can see, it's not symmetrical. When you look at it on the pump from up here, it actually looks like it's a symmetrical part, but once you pull it off, you notice it's not. It cannot be flipped around 180 degrees, otherwise it won't seat right and you'll have a power steering fluid leak. So this was the best option for this part to modify it. I'm glad we did it. Alright, so I realized this morning that I actually came up one fitting short. I didn't count the fittings while I was at Crown, and I left out a dash 10, or I left it on the counter, I'm not sure, but at any rate, I went ahead and made this the pump to the oil cooler line, and this is sort of how it's going to situate once the adapter is on there. The idea of this is to run these right along the frame rail. So if you guys have ever seen an SR before, this gets real busy once you get your intake pipe on, your charge tube on, and the other bits that go onto all the actuator and stuff down here. This stuff all has to come out and be routed into this area. You're trying to get nice cold air for your intake, so that is going to end up out here. This intercooler piping is going to be coming through here. So we're fighting for space. So we want to keep this stuff as out of the way as possible. So we have Courtney's SR here actually as well. This car is a similar configuration as what we're doing on that car. But you can see where this gets pretty convoluted over here, where you've got your intercooler piping, you've got your intake piping. Being mindful of how we route these lines off of the power steering reservoir and pump is very critical right now. Delivery! Oh.
key. Today I've got the golden ticket. This box says Adaptronic. Huge thank you to Sean, tuned by Sean, if you guys want to check them out. You know what's in here? Actually, I don't even know.
I know what's in there.
I don't know all the details. Come here.
It's coming from a rotary guy. I know what's in that box.
Okay. Adaptronic M2000, baby. For those of you guys who are wondering, we're tuning the car with Adaptronic. What is this?
So what's cool about Sean is he actually does remote tuning, and we're gonna be remote tuning this car, which is pretty awesome. You guys will get to see all that. Dang!
Wideband hardware pack.
It's our oil pressure sensor, I believe.
This is the brain of the operation here. Victor, hit him with the cinematic.
I forgot my Mickey specs. Eye safety, it's a thing. One thing that we needed to tackle was our throttle cable, because the throttle cable that was in this car was way too short. So we went ahead and ordered a longer throttle cable. I went ahead and heat shielded it with some heat shield so that it won't get too hot from our turbo here. And we've got it routed around to this side. We're finding that the cable is too short and it's creating an open throttle body. So it won't allow the throttle body to close all the way. So what we have to do is actually make a little jumper bracket here that's gonna move this lower and closer to the throttle wheel, and it will allow us to have the correct throw on the cable. So I'm gonna go ahead and make up a bracket and get that thing solved right now. All right, so there we have our bracket. I'll go ahead and clean this up, tidy up the edges, and make it so that nobody loses a finger should they run their finger across the side of it. She's a little hot. Woo! Hot baby, baby! All right, I've made some marks on here. I've got to sand these corners off so that this thing sits on the flange of this intake manifold a little nicer than just flat against there. As you can see, it's not really pretty. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of make it fit a little better in there. Taking the edge off the corners will help a lot, so I'm gonna go ahead and knock that out. As you can see, I put a little shape on this. Now we need to check and see if it fits where we want it to, which is on this flange right here. So that's exactly what we wanted. Nice tight snug fit against there. You can drill 2 holes in here, and we've got a new mount.
A few minutes later.
All right guys, so fast forward a few minutes. I went ahead and drilled a couple holes in the bracket that I'm making. Got it mounted up here. I went ahead and used our center punch and marked some new holes that I'm gonna drill, and that's gonna allow us to relocate this bracket basically out to here and get it nice and in line with our throttle body throttle wheel. So I gotta drill 2 more holes. Once those holes are drilled, I'll go ahead and clean this bracket up a little bit and make it pretty, and probably just throw it in the blast cabinet so it matches the intake manifold a bit, and hopefully it'll be one of those things that you're really not gonna notice. That's the plan. All right guys, so that's the quick and dirty. Basically just a copy of the bracket that we had here. We just extended it out, and as you can see, we've got good cable alignment for pulling here. I think this is gonna work out just fine.
All right, let me show you what I've done so far. The battery bracket, it's already mounted. It's bolted on with rib nuts at the bottom of it. So we got 4 of those. Cable's already ran, ready for the battery to get here. Whenever it gets here, I'll finish putting the terminal on. Other than that, in the trunk, we are done for now. We will be making a custom spare tire cover. We're gonna make one that was all flat so that when we put the carpet back here, it looks all nice and dandy.
The rocket bunny diffuser for this S13 is put together, and it's comprised of about 30 of these things, and it came with a bag of hardware about this big. We threw the hardware in the trash, went ahead and nut inserted all these brackets so that if you want to take it apart, it's just one quick tool to take it apart. Now that it's all put together, which was kind of like a puzzle because there's no directions whatsoever, it's one unit, and we'll go ahead and get it up here. But
Okay.
We've got our Rocket Bunny diffuser all mounted up, and we knew this was gonna happen. We're having issues where these two parts are fighting for the same space. This needs to go back about another 1.5 to 2 inches. So what I think we're gonna do is I think we're gonna use this hole that's already in the Rocket Bunny diffuser mount and actually just clearance it down underneath the bar so the bar can slip in there and still kind of keep the aesthetic look of the Rocket Bunny diffuser, but also allow us to run this cool bash bar with our jacking point, which does not interfere with the diffuser, which we thought it was going to. So we're off to a good start. We just got to modify this a bit to make it work, and we'll be off and running.
Like a glove.
A lot of bits have been coming in for the car, and we've been able to start putting that stuff together, namely a bunch of stuff from GK Tech. Here we've got our front and rear brake line. It's not like a delete kit, but it's definitely like a cleanup kit. It's more to clean up the engine bay. Previously, we have these unsightly brake lines that run across to the master cylinder. They don't look good. So GK Tech offers this nice solution, similar to the one that I make for the RX-7. Basically puts a better braided line in place and also hides them out of sight, out of mind, which is really cool. So that's gonna be a nice touch to the bay. We'll really clean things up. We also got our offset tie rod end spacers here, tie rods. Really nice bits. And we also have the tie rod ends. And I think Evan already installed our battery this morning, so we've got juice now. Lots of progress being made. Before you know it, this car is going to be on the ground under its, well, not under its own power, but that's coming soon. All right, so one thing when you're working on brakes, you want to be cautious with the brake fluid. We've already drained this reservoir out. When you pull the lines out, oftentimes it'll leak. I've got a rag down there just to catch any errant fluid that might drip out. If any fluid does get on your paint, it will ruin the paint. So make sure if it does get on the paint, you wipe it off pretty quick with some Windex or water or cleaning solution of some sort. So right now I've already got the front left run, as you can see here. This is our front left line. It goes straight down to the left brake. This is for the rear lines. And one thing about this setup is that this is our exhaust system right here. Our turbo's right there. I know it's hard to see because of the light, but this is gonna be a very hot area. And this line is going straight down right next to the manifold. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and toss some of this Heat Shield Products Fire Shield onto the brake lines. I've grabbed that. It looks like this. It's just like, has fiberglass on the inside and a nice heat protective sleeve on the outside. I'm gonna go ahead and slip that over the brake line. All right guys, well that was a quick and easy install. The GK Tech kit is really nice. We did go ahead and use a couple other products in conjunction with the GK Tech stuff. So we did use our fire sleeve from Heat Shield Products. So we shouldn't have any temperature issues with these lines, which is great. And all in all, the kit fit perfect. Love the banjo bolts they sent. They're really nice and quality. I should say everything that we've gotten from GK Tech has been really nice. So shout out to them.
What's up guys? While Mickey's working on the front with the steering and the front brake line delete kit, or however you want to call it, I'm working on the back. So I've got our lines all laid out. These are GK Tech Z32 conversion lines here, and these are the Hydro brake lines from Siki. So everything came with all the right fittings and everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop those on. I'm just gonna get everything kind of mocked up. I'm not gonna get everything super tight until everything is complete. But I will route everything to the best of my ability here because we wanna make sure we're watching out for all these moving parts when we install those Siki lines. And we do still need to figure out where we're gonna be passing those lines through into the cabin for our Hydro brake there. So without further ado, here we go. All right, well, might be a little bit hard for you guys to see, but this is our caliper we're gonna be using with the Siki Hydro e-brake, and then this is the factory, let's see right here. This is the factory caliper right here with the new GK Tech line that bolts to the factory location. Now, as I mentioned, everything is still loose. The next step is to figure out where these are gonna get into the cabin. So we're gonna have to drill a hole or try to find a grommet or something like that. But for now, I'm gonna pass the camera back over to Mickey because I know he's working on the GK Tech tie rod system.
All right, guys, so I started fitting some of the GK Tech tie rod bits. We've got our offset spacer here, which is a really nice buff piece. It is not completely tightened down yet. That's why you'll see a little bit of play in it. We've got our awesome 14mm tie rod, which is 2mm bigger than the stock tie rod, which if you've ever drifted before, there's a lot of tension on this, and a lot of times you go off track and stuff, this will take the brunt of an off-track excursion, so the buffer the better. We also got the GK Tech outer tie rods, which are really sick. They come with 3 different aluminum sleeves. This is the long one. I like this one because it has the most engagement. So as you guys can see, GK Tech does a really nice job of giving you a ton of threaded area and length on these so that you can get the lock that you want out of their system. We do have their length and lower control arms, which are really sick. These are going to provide us with a little extra lock for drifting and motorsport. But when you get this, it basically means you have to go ahead and figure out how to custom lengthen these. So what that means is you essentially need to figure out where you need to cut it off because there's way too much thread here. And keep in mind, these are made to go across a couple different platforms. So they're somewhat of a universal part. In order to figure out where we're going to cut this, we want to eyeball the wheel, the brake and hub assembly straight as possible with the chassis. It doesn't need to be perfect, it needs to be in the realm because we've got so much adjustability here and here that we can get it back to where we need it. We just need it close. So it's close now. We've got our tie rod end actually already pressed into the hub itself. So now we can sort of just line this up, and we want to leave a little bit of play on this end so we have some adjustment. And then we'll also want to leave a little bit of room in here for us as well. So we're probably going to cut right in this area right here. Right there. So we're going to cut off the majority of the threaded area on this. But man, there's so much adjustability here that we should be able to dial this thing right in. Just some nice meat, buffness, awesomeness.
I wish we had the factory tie rod to compare. I think they're gone.
Yeah, they were trash. I have not torque this down yet, and so we're going to add Loctite to that so this doesn't ever back out. So I'll go ahead and pop that off, but I kind of want to see where we are here.
All right, so this side is fully mocked up, I guess you could say, because we still have to have it aligned. So this is just our eyeball.
No, the alignment is not set, but it's centered, the rack is centered, the toe is eyeballed, but everything is left loose, so he can adjust that when he gets here. But for all intents and purposes, it can be put on the ground and steered and everything now. And it should roll straight.
Did you hear that? Put on the ground? Woo! This is the last thing we need to do before we set the wheels on the car, set the car down on the ground for the first time. So I'm very excited. We've been waiting for this moment for a long time. We're almost there. Mickey's working on the driver's side now, essentially repeating that process. So we'll set you guys down on a time lapse and we'll knock this out real quick, and that way we can toss the wheels on. All right, so we just put the car down for the first time, and as expected, all the suspension is kind of funky. So in the front, it looks like the car is really, really tall. So we're gonna have to adjust the coilovers, and the fitment is very aggressive, which we knew it was going to be. We're not sure if the 265 in the front is gonna work just yet, but it's a little bit too hard to tell. Now in the back, these guys are already kind of jacking it up. The toe, everything is kind of misaligned on the back, which is to be expected because we replaced pretty much everything that's there. So we're gonna put it back up on the lift and make a few adjustments as we can and continue making progress. I'm starting to reassemble the intercooler piping. So the cold side here has been refinished just to Scotch-Brite, and that looks really good. We did go ahead and replace all the couplers with black HPS couplers. The hot side here, we are making a new pipe here, so I've cut this and I'm gonna go ahead and weld this joint right here, and that will dip down into here underneath the bumper, and there's gonna be a coupler there and a pipe that's gonna be connected right to this side of the intercooler. So making a lot of progress here. I think Mickey also finished the mount for the fuel pressure regulator from ISR. This also has the sensor for our Adaptronics ECU. So, oh man, he's making a lot of progress. In addition, Mickey also mounted the Dishworks fuel filter here, the inline fuel filter, and I think that's it. Making a lot of progress here, guys. We're really not filming as much as we probably should just because we're trying to finish this as soon as we can and make sure we don't miss anything. So we're gonna make some adjustments and we're gonna revisit this thing on the ground. Okay, so I just finished welding this. I'm actually really proud of this weld here. It turned out really good. I'm really trying to work on my start and stops. This thing right here, this pillow, the heat shield products dropped off for us actually made a huge difference. So for me, one of the most important things in my experience, probably one of the best things to create the best welds, you want to be the most comfortable. Because if you're stretching or if you're not in a comfortable place with both the material and the torch and the filler, it's not gonna come out as good. So that pillow definitely helped, and I'm starting to get a little bit more comfortable with the TIG welder, which is nice. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this pipe on here, and that actually should complete our intercooler piping. Got this side all mocked up. Nothing super tight, but everything is good. And this is the side that we're working on now. So that one pipe's gonna come through, right through the hole right here, and all the way to the hot side of the turbo. So let me lower this down and we'll give it a try. Now, granted, we still have to adjust basically all of the coilovers. Basically, we just have to adjust.
Let me take this.
Everything.
We have to adjust everything. It's bolted together, everything's tight, but like Evan said,
Look at how high the front is right now.
when you adjust the coilovers, you adjust all the arms, but the beauty of all this GK Tech stuff is it's all adjustable. So,
You know, it's pretty good right here.
that's eyeball.
That's
We
actually
did that by
pretty good
eyeball.
right there. Just
But,
lower.
Evan, look how high the front is.
I know. Yes, this monster trucking. But let's just take 1 second and just admire the fact that the car is on the ground for the first time since it was blue, and it looks freaking awesome.
This was low when it was Calvin's car, but because the body kit, you cut away so much of the fender and it raises everything up, we actually have to lower the car a lot more.
That's some meat in the front here. You know what? We gotta cut you guys off. That's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you guys who stuck around all the way to the end to see this thing. We've got a lot of work to do, so remember, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and don't forget guys, we're giving this car away in less than 2 weeks, so if you haven't gotten entered to win, check out the link in the description and that will be all the information you need. Peace out guys, we'll see you in the next one.